Welcome to the webinar. This is the webinar is a part of the Horizon 2020 project InfoAct, which objective is to determine the effects of Industry 4.0 for economics and management. And we are talking with different people about the processes of and the state of digitalization across the country and across the world. So welcome, Mindaugas. Mindaugas is the CEO of INFOBALT. Mindaugas, can you shortly tell us what is the INFOBALT and what are the activities and the objectives of INFOBALT?
So INFOBALT is an association of Digitech, we call it. So all the, not all, but companies which are working in IT sector or digital sector are united under this association, and we are as a acting as a platform for exchanging of ideas, of export, and as a think tank, export of services and goods to open new markets, open new cooperations, as well as a think tank how to promote a real-time economy and how to make it real in Lithuania as much as we can, and advise our government and other bodies what should be the policies in order for Lithuania to move towards that direction.
How many companies are united under the umbrella of InfoAct?
178, if I'm if I'm not mistaken. That's our number of members. But at the same time, we are acting with other non-members also and cooperating with other business associations when we see that we have a common understanding. It's not always like that, you know. Sometimes we have a different understanding. Like as an example, in the cashless payments, we are very much pro cash flow payments, and some associations like our trucks or Linava, yeah, they are against it, that there should be still cash given to the driver. So of course we have different understanding of what moves economy and how it should move. In general, what we believe is that all the problems which we have in our not society, but in our public life could be solved by use of technologies.
We also agree, as the InfoAct team, we also agree with this your proposition. If starting to talk about the state of digitalization in the country and across the world, the first thing that comes to me in my mind is as a physical digital infrastructure. How you imagine, what are the most important pillars of physical digital infrastructure in a country?
It will, of course, sound very, how to say it, cliche, but the most important is brain. so people need, you know, everything what comes digitally, for majority of the people, it seems like it's a magic. It's just something happened, but despite it, it's anyway digital infrastructure. It's zeros and ones, and they need to travel somehow. So basically, it starts from the optical networks or the energy networks, yeah, which needs to be in place in order to transport the data, and then it's okay, mobile waves and everything. So we come from the very hardware or the infrastructure layer. Then we have a computing power, and then we have a software which enables this digital transactions. And then we need the human being to understand what happened and why it happened. Yeah. So, and in all these layers, we have still not enough competences, I would say. When we come to the very physical layer, we are dependable on it, but we are not, even globally, I would say, we are not very resilient because and we don't pay enough attention. Maybe now with the war in Ukraine, we will start paying more attention to that, because we think that it must work, but we don't have a procedure what we will do if it doesn't. So in my opinion, our civilization stands on two legs. One leg is energy, another leg is communication infrastructure. And yes, we take care of energy in majority of countries. In Lithuania, we didn't reach yet the energy independence. we are moving towards that. We have done quite a good steps like LNG terminal, like connecting to the Western European grid out of Russian Brel, but also we need to make sure that we have enough generation capacity in Lithuania, renewable, green energy, whatever, and that we know how to manage it, how to balance our grid. Yeah? Because if we switch off the energy, then there is no digitalization, there is no communication. And if you switch off the electricity and diesel, we are starving and we are not able to feed ourselves. And then we have another pillar, leg, it's a communication. But then let's say it's optical, mobile networks, all the computing power and everything. And there again, we don't have enough redundancy, I would say, in the critical situations, because we assume that everything will work. And as Ukraine is showing, it's not necessarily like that. In Ukraine, it's a war, but we have natural disasters as well. So when thinking about the state level, we should always think that the services must be provided wherever you are and wherever you are and the services or the government is, yeah, because we are living in the country which is in NATO, which is great, but we have our threats from the eastern neighbors. So there may be somebody else boots on the ground, and we need to have businesses needs to have the ability to continue working, even if it's not our troops on the ground. So we need to rethink how the architecture is built.
Of course, we cannot move geographically Lithuania, and we are going to live here and for the future. So, well, speaking, of course, about electronic devices, the first leg is energy infrastructure. What about the internet infrastructure? How do we get internet, and how resilient is this infrastructure for example, in the context of the crisis?
In let's say in Lithuania, we have 8 to 10 cables which are coming to Lithuania, and they are interconnected. So if you cut out them on the border, then we are blind. We don't see anyone, and the world doesn't see us. So we need to have a resilience in mind by building, I don't know, satellite communications, by having the procedures how we will do communication in case if we lose connectivity to outside world. So that's a must. It's the same if in the businesses, yeah, when we are talking about Industry 4.0. So you cannot rely on single cable. You cannot rely on even 2 cables coming to your factory, because there may be constructions going on and both of these cables are taken out. So if your business critical processes are working through digital infrastructure, you need to think how to make sure that you are as resilient as possible, and it doesn't cost you a fortune, but because when it happens, then you may lose more, and you influence your supply chain and also your clients, that they may lose. So the impact in the interconnected economy, the impact of one factory blackout may have quite a big consequences in total value chain.
It's true. Lithuanian manufacturing industry and other industries are quite well integrated in global value chains. What about governmental data? Is it safe? Where the government data centers are located?
So that's yeah, I was talking 2 years already that the location which was chosen by Lithuanian authorities, which is in the governmental building or in TV tower or in some army battalion field, is the most unsecure places in case of conventional war. And that was proven by the actions which happened in Ukraine, because if you check how the governmental buildings are looking right now, they don't have power supply. Okay, maybe your data is in the basement or servers still intact, but you cannot access them. So TV tower in Kiev was also bombarded, and the battalions, they were the first targets. So I think we need to change the paradigm of this Lithuanian state, that we should not think that the backup should be somewhere abroad. We must think that the backup may be in Lithuania, but the services must be distributed in infrastructure globally, that even if something happens in Lithuania, that the services can still be provided from abroad. It's not having only the backup. You need to have a balanced IT infrastructure and system, which works always. If it's in Lithuania, it works. If it's if you lose one location, like it's cut from the internet as an example, Lithuania, it anyway continues working, and the governmental bodies can provide services to the citizens.
Around 2 years ago, we had some kind of the signal, because one of the on-premises data centers of registry center was flooded. Have anything improved by these 2 years, or it is mostly the same?
Okay, they decided that they will build a new server room somewhere else, but that doesn't change the situation. Yeah, you need not only think about this hardware and the servers, you need to think about the uninterruptible service provision. So it's not about focusing yourself on infrastructure. You need to think how, you need to have a drill downs, and you need to have a disaster recovery plans in case something happens, and your infrastructure on critical services should be should be 24/7 for 365 days per year. You can't do it from your own server room, because your own server room is vulnerable. You need to use the resources which are available globally in order to have these availabilities. I can give an example why I said that it's always starts from the brain. I have an experience working in Kazakhstan, and in telecommunication operator, and we were building the disaster recovery plan. And the planning was done from Sweden, and they were thinking, okay, we will put all the backup servers into the container, and we will put on top of one of the buildings in Almaty, which seems very great idea when you think about it from the perspective of Sweden. But Almaty is in seismic zone. They have earthquakes there. So in case of earthquake, if you lose your primary infrastructure, most probably this container on some roof of the building also may be already not on the roof of the building, but on the street if the building collapses. Yeah. So basically you don't have a disaster recovery site. So when thinking and designing and doing the architecture of the services and infrastructure, you need to have in mind the worst case scenarios, not the peaceful times. And that is for the state, that is for the industries as well.
What about the situation of cyber attacks? Does governmental websites and all important, command and control centers are prone to cyber attacks? I also know that INFOBALT is organizing a forum on this issue, on the issue of the cyber attacks.
I would say you never know before you you are attacked. Yeah, how ready you are. But the training must be done more often, and also there should be clear who is in charge if something happens, and it should be clear if, let's say, if cyber attack happens, it can have a devastating the consequences. 3 years ago, I believe, in Lithuania, we had a major breach. It was in the city you are living, Mantas. Kaunas Vandenys was breached, and they could not get the data for more than a month from their servers and their computers. And okay, it was very silently, nobody was making a panic, but just for everybody to understand what can happen if such an infrastructure is breached via cyber attack. So basically, you can switch off the water to 400,000 people. Yeah, so they will have no water. you can switch off the canalization. You provide the water, but you don't take the wastewater away. Yeah, so basically you flood the city with and start diseases. So it's a very, very dangerous thing to be. And when such an event happens, then there should be clear procedure: who does what, when, and how we help, and how we work together with the state, how private companies and state agencies work together in order to defend the public interest. And here I would say we have, in Lithuania, definitely we have quite a lot of space for improvement, because when we are talking about military, then we know, everybody knows that if something happens, we will go to defend our country. But when we talk about cyber attacks, then it's left to some very small bunch of people who think that they can pretend everybody. That's not usually what happens in the majority of cases. You need a different expertise. You need to involve people from different, with different competences, from operator, from infrastructure to software to networks to all of them. And they should be working hand in hand, and they should know how to work hand in hand. So you need to do the drill outs. You need to, I would say, I would advise that even our government, what they should do is they should start giving bounties for the breaches in the infrastructure. They should ask hackers to hack, and for the success to pay prizes. Give 1 million, okay, 100,000 euros for the hackers to breach into Kaunas Technological University. Then you will know where the vulnerabilities are, and then you can close them. So we should act like, we should train ourselves by attacking ourselves, and during the like cyber drill outs, and that's how we will close the holes.
My final question regarding the digital infrastructure is related to 5G networks. We are looking forward to the 5G coverage in Lithuania. We are imagining what could happen, what kind of the services, what kind of processes it could enable in the companies. What's your expectation? How soon the 5G network will be functioning in Lithuania, at least in the major cities?
That's a shameful question for our country, because I believe we are the last ones now in European Union. Of course, there was setback from our neighbors from Belarus and Russia, that we had disputes on the ability to use certain frequencies. But operators in generally, as we know, they are ready, and they are already installing the 5G ready equipment. What they need is the licenses to use the spectrum for the 5G. Once the 5G is installed, then we can expect more users and more businesses to start using the 5G enabled devices. What is the 5G? There is, okay, taking away all the nice vendor marketing, the 5G is enabler for the big amount of connected devices to be able to be served in the networks and communicate between each other. That's the main advantage, I would say. So basically, from talking about Internet of Things, we may move to reality, having a 5G in place. Of course, we need also, again, brain to know what we will do with that, because the connectivity for the connectivity, it makes no sense. Like digitalization for digitalization's sake, it makes no sense. It has to have certain goal and then result which can be achieved. But I can just give you imaginary movie, picture that 5G, okay, when it's enabled and it's connected and computing power is enough, so the city camera can see that the boy is running over the street and the car is driving, so it can be signal sent to the car that it slows down and saves the boy chasing the ball. Yeah, it's imaginative scenario in the future, but that may happen one day. And Lithuania, We just need to get the licenses out, enable operators to start providing the services, and then scientists, businesses, regular persons start creating the services on top of the infrastructure which is available. Now we just can imagine, we even can't test.
Well, so you haven't still said what we should expect. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or something?
I hope end of this year.
Okay, so it's rather soon.
Yeah, I hope end of this year. You know, it's traveling in Europe. It's really fun to see it in Warsaw, in Dublin, in other cities already available. I hope to see it in my phone in Vilnius and Kaunas at the end of this year. 5G, I mean, signal.
Yeah. Well, so if we think about some major challenges and issues of digitalization, what are the major challenges and issues of digitalization of, I don't know, companies, country overall?
Oh, Mantas, that's a very good, nice question. Let's put it a little bit backwards from the perspective, what is happening with us as a human beings. We are a beast which has evolved over the billions of years to be a real-time chemical organism. Yeah? Why I'm saying that is that as a human beings, we have senses, and they enable us to react to the surrounding environment in real time, basically in real time. If we see the threat, adrenaline comes up, heart starts pumping, yeah, and we are ready to run or to fight. Then we choose. Yeah, if we see something with our eyes, we are ready processing the documents and everything. And we are really great real-time organism. Where is the problem? The problem is when these two organisms meet each other, they are really shitty on communication in distances. And if you see that how we started communication in distances, it was with the smokes, yeah, smoke signals. When somebody was coming to fight Lithuania from Samogitia, the fire was light on these hills, and then it took some 8 hours, the signal went to Vilnius, and from Vilnius, 8 hours, the signal went back. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just joking. Then we improved this communication. We started using written communication and sending pigeons, which was also a great invention. Then we moved to letters, then we moved to this wire communication, then radio appeared, yeah. But when it comes to organizations or the industries, it's still based on the paper communication, yeah. It's not the real-time communication. But at the same time, we have means already today, computing power, infrastructure in place where communication can be between the different organisms like human beings. It can be instant, basically real time. But our brain is still functioning on the paper communication where you send the letter, give 30 days to reply, and that's how we are communicating. Yeah? So basically, the major obstacle to move towards the digitalization and real-time economy is our habits on how we communicate in the organizations and how we process information, because it's this analog, ancient communication style. What we do during the digitalization, we are not taking what digitalization or 4G can, or Industry 4.0 could give us, but instead we are taking the old processes, putting to the new digital infrastructure. That's how we came to the idea of having electronic documents and sending instead the paper. We are sending now electronic documents.
That's right.
And giving the visas and signing them. What in reality is digitalization is exchange of data. So it's basically, if you have an algorithmic question, the human interaction is not necessary, because if it's an algorithm, yeah, like, I don't know, can we give you a building permit? Yeah. So you check does the land belongs to Mantas? If it's yes, okay. Then next step is the land definition, is it for the farming or is it for construction? If you get the answer yes, yeah, 1, 2. If it's this Okay, is there I don't know, is there electricity and the water? Yes, yes. Okay, then it's an answer. Mantas can start building the house. Yeah. Is the process like that? No. The process is that you are sending some paper, somebody is watching them, and it's not completely data moving, it's letters moving. So we need to change our approach towards the data movement instantly, and all the algorithmic questions should be answered instantly without any delay. That would help us moving towards Industry 4.0 and towards the Government 4.0 and towards the real-time economy.
But how to do that? I totally agree with you, but I'm looking at that percentage of the graduates. Percentage of the graduates in IT is 3.7%. I can't even find the numbers for the percentage of graduates in data science or math. So how we can move forward if these skills, which are essential to digitalization, are so lacking?
Oh, Mantas, it's a provocative question. First, we need to okay, fire everybody and hire everybody. Yeah, no, just joking. Look, there has to be a clear path, and the path is very simple, and it's inevitable. We will be going that way. Just I don't understand why it takes so long to process this information. In Lithuania, there is 1.3 million, how you call it, workers. 1.3 million people who are working and getting salaries. Yeah? Out of this labor force, we have 32,000 people who are working in IT. So it's roughly 2.5% from total labor force. 2.5% is in IT. And these 2.5% is producing 5% of GDP, because in Lithuania, IT and digital economy is 5%. So what we have is we have the twice better efficiency from IT than from many other industries or activities. That means that if we wanna live in Lithuania prosperous lives, we need to increase that share. And you are damn right when you are saying that the graduates from university is not enough to fill in the gap. We are forecasting in INFOBALT that by 2030, in order Lithuania to reach that digital economy or IT would be 9% from all total GDP, we need at least 100,000 people, human beings, working in IT sector, creating services and providing services. These 100,000 people would provide 9% of GDP, 10% of GDP in 2030, and that would shift our economy towards the high value and high salaries. Not completely turn around, but shift. So you take, I don't know, the lower bottom of this labor force and put them here. In not the same people, but the proportions change. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have any guidelines from our government officials, and they are ignoring this question like hell, because they are more concentrated in solving today's problem than thinking about 2030 or having a long time perspective. Can this gap of 70,000 needed brains filled by Lithuanian education system? Answer is no. From Lithuania education system, from universities, every year we get around 2,000 new specialists in IT who can work in IT. So it means that in coming 9 years, it will be 18,000 additionally. So we have 32, we add 18,000, which will be produced if we continue as it is, it's 50. So 50,000 is still missing. What we should do is re-education is one, and talent acquisition from abroad is second. That's two main things which we can do. We need to invite students from third countries to study in Lithuanian universities. Lithuanian universities should be motivated to get these students, because today they are living in their own comfort zone. It's easier for universities, don't get insulted, but it's easier for universities to go to government and ask for more money than to go to, I don't know, Bangladesh and invite students to come to study in Kaunas. And we are human beings. We are acting, how to say, we are fighting for the easy life. We don't want a difficult life. So in order to force universities to do that, I would say we need to cut the donations to universities, that they would need to go and sell their services and fight for that. And we have to put that Lithuanian universities and Lithuania becomes the center of Northern Europe for IT students. We have to have ambition. Otherwise, I don't see how to do it.
Yeah, that's right. I totally agree with you. The IT skills of data science are, of course, the hard skills that are important and extremely essential talking about digitalization. What kind of the soft skills you would also mention that are also essential in the digitalization project?
It's not, let's say, soft skills not only in digitalization, but soft skills in general. If we moving forward, we are living now in this anyway real-time and instant satisfaction world. Yeah, we want to get everything here and now. So basically, we need competences of re-education constantly, because the speed of change is so fast now that what we learned, Mantas, what we learned in university, I finished economics, yeah? I cannot explain from these books which I learned 10, 15 years ago, I cannot explain the economic behavior which I see today. I don't understand how it functions, because it had to be from what is going on. There is no theories yet in place. Yeah, so I need to re-educate myself. And the same happens with the management. The same happens with IT. The same happens with I don't know, with anything. So critical thinking, that's a really soft skill which needs to be in place for every student or every human being, because we lack this critical thinking, and we aim to rely on the information we got in the past, but this information and these theories has changed quite significantly. Yeah? Critical thinking is one, and ability, how to put it, ability to interact between human people. We are a little bit losing in digital era. We are losing this human to human communication skills. We have double personalities, I would say, one in real life, one in internet. And you can see quite a lot from the commentaries, from other things, that this becomes an issue, that when we are anonymous in internet, there is one face we are putting on. When we are in public, we have another face. So this distraction has to come together again.
Well, what's the role of public management of the government leading the transition to Industry 4.0? We still have the I don't know, the Ministry of Agriculture. If I remember right, we had a minister for digitalization, but now this position it's not here anymore, if I'm right. So how you think of the role of public policy in leading the transition to Industry 4.0?
It's a key, because in Lithuania, the public sector is a trendsetter. And if you, I can give you good examples. Yeah, our Sodra, they forced all the businesses to provide digitally signed documents, and they refused to take any paper documents anymore. And what that made is that all the business companies and the CEOs become literal how to sign digitally documents, and they got rid of the paper. Yeah? So one decision made everybody digitally literal, at least on the document signing. We should take our fields and do the same. And I was advising, and still I am advising, that there is only one law which we need to change in order to become faster towards the real-time economy and digitalization. And this law is a public administration. We need to change that if the request came to the any organization via digital means, you need to answer it in 5 working days. And if it came written on the paper, you answer it in 45 days. Distinguishing digital and the paper communication flow and making digital favorable and these regular pigeons and the smoke signals less favorable would drive the demand towards digital, because we all want, as I told, we are instant satisfaction generation now. We all want answers immediately. So that would drive the demand towards the digital channels. At the same time, the organizations and public organizations would need to make a digital transformation inside, because they would not be able to cope with this flow with the means they have today. And that would completely change the landscape, and we would become we are #1 in digitalization in Baltics. Believe me, because I was living in 2.5 years in Estonia. That's only PR what they are talking. In Lithuania, we have the great services and everything, but we need to move next step towards, instead of electronical document management, we need to move towards the real-time economy and real-time management.
So once again, can you confirm it once again that it's only PR about digitalization in Estonia, what we are hearing, and we are in a front in this area?
As a human being, I can confirm you that as a CEO in Estonia and as a CEO in Lithuania, I feel superiority of Lithuanian services and the answers and using the digital services here. So we are not miles ahead, but we are ahead. Are we great? No, there is plenty of work to be done. We should not be satisfied.
Well, my last question: how do you think whether the artificial intelligence will take over the world, and if yes, how we can stop it?
No. That's again, that's a PR, Mantas. That's a total PR. And if you ask your colleagues from mathematics faculty, they will say that the machine learning is a concept which was developed in 1960s or something. And they have been working on this. And now we call it, machine learning was not so sexy in this 21st century. So we call it artificial intelligence now, and then we serve it back to public, yeah, with the glory and the threats at the same time. So artificial intelligence will not take over the globe, that's for sure, because it helps, but it doesn't, how to say, it doesn't replace the need for human being critical thinking. What we should see with the help of artificial intelligence and with the help of digitalization, we should see that the human beings will stop doing the monkey job. What I mean the monkey job is we will stop forcing human beings doing the repetitive transactions or repetitive actions. I mean, typing the word from one system to another, Control-C, Control-V, or checking the algorithm, as I explained you, with the building permit or with the processing the payment, yeah, in the company, that, okay, I send the invoice, then I get the payment, then I'm sitting in the accounting system and I'm putting this payment towards this invoice, yeah, that the bookkeeping would be nice. That's what we are forcing today human beings to do the monkey's job. Artificial intelligence should take that away, and digitalization should take that away. And we as a human beings will have quite a lot of time for using brain where there is no algorithmic answers. We will be using our brain for creative solutions, for finding new horizons and new ways to solve the issues, solve the problems, or create issues and create problems. So artificial intelligence, it will not take over the world. It will free us from unnecessary activities, but we need to find out what we will do with the time and the capability of human brain, because that's still, we didn't reach the point of singularity. So this and yours box inside here is the strongest computing, computing unit in the whole universe. And if we put both of them and add Rimante, I would say that would be completely unimaginable computing power altogether. We just need to find out how to use it, not Control-C, Control-V, adding invoice to something and this stuff.
Well, thank you very much. With this, thank you very much for your insights, and especially for two very, very promising and cheerful evaluations. The first one, it's in terms of Estonia and Lithuania, and the second one that so far we are safe from artificial intelligence. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mantas.